Can I get a nod or smile or dance from my judges? Oh, there we go, yeah, okay. And Mr. President and Mr. Jacoby, okay. Now, Senator Govindaraju, you seem to come up here and think that because we have an authorization to use military force that's already enacted, that trying to come up with a solution for a different problem shouldn't be allowed to pass. You see, the issue that occurs with the AUMF is a separate issue than the War Powers Act. And I stand before you because if Congress continues their be-all, end-all solution, we will continue to have a lower acceptance rating than cockroaches. I stand before you in the affirmation because I believe that the War Powers Act of 1973 needs to be repealed and replaced with something better, like Senator McFeely sponsors. Now, Senator Govindaraju, let me explain to you what the AUMF does and why Congress actually failed to fix the problem with the AUMF. You see, in February of 2015, President Obama made a statement to Congress asking them to pass a new AUMF to replace the 2001 AUMF. He believed that Congress working together with the president and a new authorization that would put a time limit on the amount of time Obama could spend in the Middle East fighting these terrorist actions, that would be a better solution. President Obama agrees with you, Senator Govindaraju. He agrees that we shouldn't be continuing this AUMF, but Congress failed him. Congress didn't pass the AUMF. So if you really want to enact change with these authorizations, then that's what you should have done in February of this year. That's a separate problem that Congress can still fix, separate from this War Powers Resolution and Consultation Act. But the reason why we're going to be looking toward the War Powers Consultation Act of 2014 is because it solves for loopholes. According to the University of Virginia in 2015, every time the White House reports to Congress in the status quo, they end up reporting more often. That's because every time they report, the clock gets extended 60 days. That means basically there's no limit to the amount of times that Obama could say, hey, I started a new conflict, and so now I get another 60 days. We're basically given an infinite amount of time, which is going to be solved through this piece of legislation. Now, of course, I'm not going to come up here and say this is going to perfect American foreign policy, but it sure is going to improve it. Foreign policy from 2014 found that the executive branch is basically constructing an imperial presidency by continuing to use two loose definitions. So, Senator Seabrooks, I do agree that this is a loose definition, but it's more tight than the one we currently have. The judicial branch can come and tighten it even further if you would like, but the first step toward fixing any of our foreign policy is by enacting today's resolution. But there's two key reasons why we need today's resolution right now. The first is, according to Stanford University from 2014, the current War Powers Resolution is blocking our ability to fight the Islamic State effectively. We need to be working with the president. We need to be working together in order to solve the Islamic State conflict. But secondly, U.S. News from 2013 found that more congressional oversight would put President Obama in a more politically comfortable position with foreign policy. That means people saying that the president is not creating this kind of imperial presidency would be more willing to work with the United States because Congress is going to work with them. We can work with the president, but only if you affirm today's piece of legislation. It's the first step toward fixing our foreign policy. It's the first step toward fighting the Islamic State, and it's the first step toward fixing the problems we should have fixed 40 years ago. I'm now open for cross-examination and further points of clarification.
Thank you, Ms. O'Gara, for that speech of 3 minutes and 3 seconds. Questioners rise. Mr. Shrikant, Ms. Trakonis, and Mr. Chen.
Good afternoon. What's one specific provision of the 2014 Act that enables us to fight ISIS a lot better than the 1973 War Powers Resolution?
We're going to be, good afternoon, by the way, Senator, and we're going to be looking toward the 7-day limit that's also set defining significant armed conflict, which is a tighter definition that, like I stated in the foreign policy article that I gave you.
Thank you, Senator. What specific definitions of armed conflict under the War Consultation Act help us to fight ISIS better than the War Powers Act?
Okay, so we're going to be looking at the fact that we don't have a clock that's unlimited, Senator, which is the first key thing. The second is that if you would like a tighter definition, the judicial branch would be glad to do that for you. I can't provide that to you in the next 10 seconds.
Thank you.
Since the majority of the actions that the president needs to carry out to fight terrorist organizations can be done in under the time that's needed for Congress to approve of his actions, why exactly do we need this current legislation to be passed for the president to combat ISIS?
If you believe that the Islamic State can be defeated in 7 days, then that is an amazing accomplishment of our military, but I don't think that's possible.
Okay. Thank you. Senator, under this new act, does this new consultation committee have any jurisdiction over the actions of the executive branch?
Yes, they do, because we're actually going to see that Congress has to authorize it without this unlimited clock that the executive branch keeps resetting. If you would like perfect legislation, then you're obviously in the wrong country.